Good morning, my Cafecito friends. Welcome to Cafecito con Colon this morning. We have a very technologically challenged morning here. Zoom and Facebook are not cooperating today, and that is super unfortunate, but I'm not willing to scrub the mission because today we have a fantastic guest on this morning. We're going to try and do this a little differently. I'm literally streaming from my phone with the camera on my laptop here so that I could bring Marjorie to join us this morning and not just miss today's show, because I am not willing to do that today. This guest is going to be a superstar, dynamic storyteller and going to provide inspiration and insight into this woman's journey as an immigrant to this beautiful country. And what a perfect day to do that while so many of us are observing 4th of July as a holiday today, and as we prepare to celebrate the 4th of July over the weekend. So we are going to try and do this. I've never done it like this before, but we are going to see how this works. I can see some comments scrolling on my phone, so that's kind of cool. We've got Velia, thank you for joining us. Donna, glad you're here this morning. Neely, thank you for being with us. Michelle's even with us this morning, and Miss Olmsted never misses, so we're glad you're with us this morning. How's the sound out there, and can you see this incredible guest I have today, Marjorie Germain? Can you see her? Let's see there. And now, see, you can even see me. There I am. There's my normal shot right there on Cafecito con Colon. There's my normal shot. So let me do this. I have all these great links to post up today. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Latanya. Good to see you this morning. Thank you on the sound, giving me a thumbs up on that. Let me see if I can pull up on my other laptop. I got two laptops going here. Look at this operation. This is very fancy. Look at this, very fancy. Oh, look at that. Look, there's Marjorie. There she is. She's showed up. She was on time and ready to go. And now let's see here if this laptop's going to cooperate. It doesn't appear to be. I think I'm Facebook challenged this morning with connectivity here. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to keep on trying. Let me just tell you that don't forget, in terms of announcements, I wanted to make sure we made this morning. Don't forget, today is the day that Hamilton will be streaming live. Is it live or is it just a show there? We've got it on Disney Plus, and there's lots of good streaming this weekend. And I'm going to post these links so that you can find them. But Hamilton is on today on Disney Plus, so make sure that you check that out. It's going to be awesome. They say this is a gift from Miranda, which of course is Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he really produced this incredible Broadway musical, and it's going to be on our homes streaming this Independence Day weekend, which couldn't be better timing, of course, in honor of 1776. And I got lots of great links here on the different stories and a picture of the desk where the Declaration of Independence was actually written, and some of the backstory there. I can't believe it looks like I'm not going to be able to post all my links this morning, but that's okay because it'll give us more time with Ms. Marjorie Germain. And I will tell you that Marjorie's path and my path have intersected frequently over the last several years, and it has really been a blessing every single time because this woman brings an energy to a room. She's got just a wonderful, wonderful, engaged personality. You never wonder when you're talking to Marjorie, is she wondering about who the next person is she's going to get to talk to? Because she is 100% focused and tuned into the person in front of her. And she's got this great big smile and this wonderful heart that is just bursting with energy. And as is the case with so many people who've come to America as an immigrant, you can just tell there's a level of gratitude and engagement that is just super, super authentic and just wonderfully, wonderfully contagious. And so I think that's when I look at her and her fantastic husband and her three beautiful children who are all in their 20s now, and starting at 20, I think going up to 26 or so, they are just a beautiful, beautiful picture of what America really should aspire to be. And that is highly motivated individuals who care about their community and who are always tuned into those around them. And her children are a great reflection of of her love for community. I've enjoyed getting to interact with Alexandria. I watched her on stage at the African American Performing Arts Center. Andrew and I have served meals together during, I think it was a Juneteenth breakfast. And Naomi's terrific. They're just all wonderful. And in fact, here's a little preview. We are going to try and coordinate, if they will agree. I want to actually have her children join me on a Cafecito con Colon. Because as you know, we've been doing this for about 5 weeks now, having Black voices on Cafecito con Colon. And we've had the entire spectrum has been represented. We've had women and men, and we've had underrepresented groups, whether that be individuals in the Black community who are also living that intersectionality between being LGBTQ plus and Black. We've had that perspective on Cafecito con Colon. We've had young people. We've had those who are wiser and maybe more seasoned. We won't say older, but people like the Reverend or the Pastor Dr. Becknell, Lent Mowry, the godfathers, if you will, of the Black experience in New Mexico, trailblazing Black leaders, phenomenal people. But I want to have more young people on. So that's one of my goals, is to have more young people on Cafecito con Colon. And I think if I can get her children to agree to come on, I'll do a panel and we'll have like a four-way. I don't think I've done 4 people on at one time, but I bet 2 out of 3 are going to agree to do it. I'm hoping for a trifecta of guests, but I know that Andrew's going to say yes to me because he and I got a little special bond. We've exchanged warmth and time together, and that's been awesome. And I've seen Alexandria on stage, and I've given her standing ovation after her performance. So she owes me because I stood up for her when she did such a good job. So she has to say yes. No, she doesn't have to, but I'm hoping she will. Okay, good. Hey, guess what? It looks like my Facebook finally connected here. So I'm going to take just a couple minutes, if you will, Marjorie. I'm going to post up some links, and then we're going to come straight away to you. Is that all right?
Okay.
Okay, good. We're going to do that here right now. So here, I'll cut down on the number of links I'm going to post up. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Dr. Lang. And yes, I could have posted them later, but I was just committed to getting these up today. So here we go. I'm just going to blow through these. And I know many of you, we only get about anywhere between 20 and 50 people that watch us live. But on almost every single broadcast of Cafecito con Colon, we passed that 1,000 mark. We passed that 1,500 mark. On some of them, I think on Bree's, we're up to about 3,500 views on Bree's post, Cafecito, that episode there. So we get lots of people tuning in later. And I also know that we get lots of people that go check out these links after Cafecito con Colon. So I'm going to blow through and posting these links. This is a great one. On the Independent, which is a website that probably most of you never go to, but it's something that I subscribe to. It's out of the UK, and with a shout out to my buddy in London there. I don't know if Tom's on this morning or not. Here is the Independent article. Here is the USA Today regarding 4th of July, how to celebrate and observe that during this time. Here's some creative ways to recognize one of America's favorite holidays. Let's see, what else do I have here for you? Hey, shout out to our city leaders in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Wallet Hub has named them one of the 4th best run cities in America. So congratulations to Las Cruces for that leadership. Let me also just post this link here where you can nominate a first-year educator to get a $500 grant. This grant was named in honor of a gentleman who passed away, I think, in 2018 from the effects of cancer. Carolyn Garcia Mack says, "Hello, beautiful Marjorie Theodore Germain." And I think that's just beautiful.
Hi.
Don't you love that lady? Isn't Carolyn just the best? She is awesome. So check out that application for Teachers Rock Fund. The Teachers Rock Fund. You know who rocks? I'll tell you who rocks. Marjorie Theodore Germain. She rocks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then, this is a fun story. I have never eaten at a Chipotle. There are so many local restaurateurs that serve burritos in New Mexico. I can't bring myself to go in a Chipotle. That said, I think it's pretty cool that in the whole country, Chipotle chose to bring their new concept to Albuquerque. It is the first store of its kind. It's going to be smaller. It's like a drive-through Chipotle or something. And they're calling it something different. Chipotle Lane, I think. And of course, Josh Skarsgård, phenomenal commercial developer, is the one that's doing this project here. And I think, let me just get the name. It is Chipotle Lane. Instead of Chipotle, it's Chipotle Lane. And I just thought that was pretty cool that Albuquerque, New Mexico is the place for the first one there. And the other thing I want to post this morning that came out in today's Albuquerque Journal, lots of important stories in there, so please check it out. And that must be somebody calling me to say, Brian, of all the links you post today, one of the most important may be the op-ed that was written by your mentee, your friend, your beloved Devonte Watson. And I want to make sure I post that up. So Devonte Kurt Watson, shout out to you, my little brother. There is the Albuquerque Journal story on his perspective, his voice regarding the Black Lives Matter movement and how the state should boost the inclusion of blacks in New Mexico leadership and in discussions as it relates to the history of the black experience and the lived experience of those wonderful members of our community and New Mexico black history. So he speaks very candidly in this op-ed. So if you only go to one link today on Cafecito con Colon, please check out Devonte Kurt Watson's op-ed. You know, I'm going to just give him an honorary doctorate from Cafecito con Colon. I'm going to call him Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson. Devonte, love you, man. Let's see here. Oh, the last one's in here. I'm coming to you. Germain, here I come. But check this out. As you know, I do a lot of work in the space of the disability community. My father had muscular dystrophy, passed away at the age of 49. I buried him when I was a teenager. Very painful, but I knew his lived experience was challenged because he lived in a time when we didn't really embrace, particularly in rural New Mexico, opportunities to serve that community and assist them in their lived experience of having barriers. But this is so anyway, I do a lot of work in that community and try and support that community as best I can. And this smart glove that I found on my Optimus Daily blog translates sign language directly into speech. So you wear this glove and you sign and it translates it into speech. Imagine that. So that's going to be, that's some amazing technology. So check that out. And then let's see, that's it. Okay, the last one is from my governing magazine. I wanted to post this story that has some great perspective on the very first 4th of July. And I'm going to end with that. But that's where you can find the picture of the writing desk on which Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, which is in the collection of the Smithsonian right now. So with that, let me just take a chance to bring to camera here Ms. Germain, Marjorie Germain, and we're going to ask her where that Theodore comes from because she proudly includes that in all her stuff. Let me tell you a little bit about this incredible woman who we are fortunate to have to be a black leader in our land of enchantment, the Tierra del Encanto. Marjorie was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and she spent her early years in Port-au-Prince and then came to the United States via Brooklyn, New York, in the age of 11, and became a United States citizen at an early age when her parents became citizens, and her parents became citizens 5 years later. In 1990, Marjorie, understanding the value of education and being a leader in a sector that has an underrepresentation of people of color, she decided that she was going to take a deep dive into economics and accounting and finance, and she got her bachelor's degree in economics, a minor in accounting at Hunter College. In 1992, Marjorie got married in New York and immediately thereafter moved to New Mexico. She said, I'm going to take this man I got and we're going to the land of enchantment. We're going to build a family and we're going to make a difference in the West. in the Southwest, that is. From 1992 to today, Marjorie has worked as an auditor. We love our auditors. Yes, sir. This message brought to you by the Office of the State Auditor of New Mexico, Brian Colon. She worked she's been a civil servant all the way since then. She worked as an auditor, a tax representative, New Mexico Workforce Solutions, and currently Mayor Keller has the good fortune of having her as part of his administration in the Department of Innovation and Technology. And she is so passionate about serving her community and always working on how to impact that community she loves so deeply. She's been keeping herself busy by working on lots of things and many organizations. Lala, I want to say good morning to you. Gabby Begay, welcome. Beth, I'm so glad to see you. And Luis Armando Reyes Jr. is joining us this morning on Cafecito con Colon. Laura, I'm glad you're here. I miss you when you're gone. Thanks for coming back. She's been a cabinet member at the United Way. That's what she's doing right now, but she's worked with United Way for years. She's a graduate of the FBI candidate program, class of 2019, APS Capital Master Plan Committee, completed the Citizens Police Academy training in 2018. Back in 2014, she was a member of the Office of the African American Affairs Board of Directors. She's been a part of the New Mexico Democratic Black Caucus. She and I have served in that caucus as members for many years. And she went to the Democratic National Convention as a delegate in 2012. She's a member of the National Council of Negro Women, and she's a board member of the NAACP, and she's the assistant treasurer. She has got just an incredible list of organizations that she's served, whether it's through AFSCME as a steward with New Mexico Council 18. She's a team leader for Organizing for America back in the day. She volunteered for the congressional candidates. I know she's a favorite of Congresswoman Deb Haaland, and she is just a dynamo in person. And I'm so glad to be able to say that I am friends with Marjorie Theodore Germain. Welcome to Cafecito con Colon.
Good morning, Brian.
Buenos dias, le Dios. I'm so glad you're with us this morning, Marjorie. Thank you for coming on. And sorry for the slight technical difficulties, but I got to say that even from my phone, you are just radiating that happiness and love that you take with you everywhere you go. You never leave that bucket of love at home.
Well, Brian, thank you so much. I am honored and excited to be with you today, and thank you for having me.
It is my honor and privilege. And let me just say this. I believe that, I think this is true, that in the 5 weeks or so that we have had only Black voices, trusted community leaders, trusted voices that people can embrace and learn from as we listen, I really think this is true. You are the first immigrant Black voice that we have brought to Cafecito con Colon. So we're going to spend some time talking about what that experience looks like through your lived experience. And I know that, you come from a place that has really, in some ways, a tortured history, Haiti, in terms of just painful, dictatorial and ruthless leadership. And that has seen the sun come out and go beyond the clouds again. And it's just had that, we don't have to get into all the history of Haiti, but I personally know that is really an incredible story in itself of a people who have withstood so much turmoil. And then you came from that intergenerational history to America as an immigrant. So you have such a unique story. And I'm just so hopeful that you'll be able to share that with us in a way that allows us to really understand and have a perspective of what that's like and what it's like to raise 3 beautiful, successful children in the land of enchantment. So let's talk. Marjorie, tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. Well, first, Brian, I want to say hi to everyone. And I want to tell you a little bit about myself so you can better understand where I'm coming from. I was born, my name is Marjorie Germain, Theodore Germain. The Theodore comes from, it was my maiden name. I used to be called the girl with the 2 first names because Theodore is considered a first name. So after I got married, I keep my name. It's important to me. I was born and raised in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. I came to the U.S. when I was about 11 years old with my siblings. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I attended Hunter College in Manhattan, New York, where you take the train, not like New Mexico where you drive. You have to take like a taxi, then get to the train station. So doing cold weather was not easy. So I got a degree. I received my degree in economics and a minor in accounting. And soon after, I started working as a staff accountant at Brookdale Hospital in Brooklyn, New York. And after I met my husband, we were married. My husband got accepted into UNM for a degree in architecture. So I've been here. I raised 3 children who are now adult. I was nervous about moving to New Mexico because all I knew about New Mexico was what I see on Western movies. It's like the little house on the prairie. I often ask my husband, are the streets paved in New Mexico? Because he was here first for school and went back and married me. But Albuquerque is an amazing city. I really love it. I've been here for 28 years. I am an American citizen, migrate to the U.S. I live in Brooklyn, and today I can call New Mexico home, where I raise all my children.
Well, we are grateful that your husband found New Mexico and then brought you along with him.
Thank you.
And then we got the next generation of Theodore Germains.
Theodore Germain, yes.
Let's talk about those 3 children. Yes, 2 girls and a boy who, let me just tell you, they are some of the most respectful, kind young people I have met on my journey. And I mean that. I mean, when I say that your son, his interaction with me was so respectful and warm that Andrew will always have an advocate in me. Alexandria was so talented on stage. Let's talk about them a little bit. Tell me about Naomi and Andrew and Alexandria just for a sec.
Well, Brian, first I want to say it's part of the culture. I was raised in a very, my parents, if there's one thing Haitian parents do know how to do, is discipline. I think it's important for us as immigrants when we come to this country and do not take it for granted and appreciate everything and make sure we be an example, because the world is watching what we do. And to raise a good kids, that means you're going to have a better community. So I wanted to share that a little bit.
You know what? I appreciate that. And let me just tell you how true that is, because if you remember during the introduction, I actually mentioned that you radiate with gratitude and thankfulness. And so that was even before you said that. So that upbringing has definitely translated into how people receive you, or at least how I receive you.
Thank you so much. That's so important to us. My daughter, my first one, Naomi, she was born and raised here in New Mexico. All 3 of them attended, they're doing well. They attended Our Lady of Fatima, and from Fatima, Naomi went to St. Pius. And thereafter, she went to UNM, and now she's currently in D.C. I miss her so much. She worked for the Congresswoman, so she's in D.C. She's doing okay. Alexandra worked in Valencia County.
Hey, shout out to Valencia County. That's my home county, and I did get to see your daughter. Actually, we got to talk briefly when I went to the Congresswoman's office in D.C. Not that long ago. We got to see each other. I got to give her my cell number again, which I think I've given her a couple times, because I'm in your children's corner, that's for sure.
Thank you. I miss her, so thank you for giving her the love. She's far away still. She hasn't been able to come home, and she's working. Alexandra is doing well as well. She works for Valencia Shelter. She's an educator there. And Andrew is out of high school and working in a program called America Vista. She's currently working for the city, And during the pandemic, she was transferred over to Emergency Management Center. So, and hopefully to go back in September. We're doing okay. My husband is a realtor and he has a bachelor in architecture. So thank you. We are so blessed and grateful. We're doing good.
Well, Tammy puts a little shout out to your children. I guess her son and your children are friends, and she says they are just so wonderful. And Nisi says that she loves your girls. And Nisi was our guest yesterday.
Oh, yes, Nisi was the manager. Nisi, my daughter worked for Nisi in Valencia shelter. Alexandra?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Alexandra worked with Nisi. Great leader, great manager.
And just a phenomenal role model, I suspect, by having Nisi be such a leader in her in the way she presents and impacts her community. What a great model for Alexandria to be able to see and work with.
That is so true. That right? Is so true.
We've got so many great folks. We got so many great folks that tuned in. Everybody's here to see you, like Harold Pope and Dean Mathewson and Betsy and Tammy's here. Boy, we got all the top shelf.
Love you, Tammy. Thank you, Harold. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, Patricia L. Chavez is with us this morning. She never misses. I love her. And Alex Vaz this morning. Alex does his daily meditation. This morning, he was doing a meditation about going out and volunteering and helping the nonprofit sector, and how that when we do that, it helps others. And that's the life you lead, is helping others. Talk about that passion and maybe give us, I don't want to miss the opportunity to hear, if you will, share with us about the distinction and that transition from Haiti to here, and maybe what the lived experience there, and then the distinct difference between that and what you have here in New Mexico.
Well, Brian, I began getting involved in politics during President Obama re-election campaign. I was very inspired and motivated seeing his family that resembled my family in the White House. So with that, I wanted to do everything I can possibly do to help keep him there. I started to knock on doors, phone banking, and it was one day I met State Representative Cheryl Stapleton, and she encouraged me. She recommended me to take Emerge class of New Mexico. Oh, I did. It was one of the best decisions that I made. I was grateful for the experiences. I met a lot of wonderful people, and I just want to say thank you to all these people. Before Emerge, I had met Dr. Mallory, who was very instrumental in pushing me to take that class. I met Mr. James Lewis. I met Jennifer Ford, Juliana Koo, Tammy. All these wonderful people helped me to be where I'm at today. They have inspired me. I wanted to encourage all women who has the slightest idea of running to sign up for Emerge. It's a great program. Emerge empowers and train women to run for office. So I just want to say thank you to them. But anyway, I wanted to share to you as an immigrant woman. I went to a high school. Let me go track a little bit. I went to a high school in Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York. The neighborhood is Bensonhurst, which was predominantly Black. Racism, it's not something that's new to me. I experienced it early on in high school, where I remember there was a White Castle. It's like a food restaurant where students will go and get cheap burgers after school. The burgers I remember at that time, was like 25 cents.
That's right.
But the neighborhood was mostly Italian and white student. My parents took me there, excuse me, because they wanted a great high school for me. They wanted to move me to greater neighborhood. Well, at that White Castle, as a student, we were only allowed 30 minutes after school. And after 30 minutes, we will be chased. We will get beat up if we were caught there, because we had to make space for the white student and the Italian student. Well, that doesn't end there. I continue experience racism in New Mexico in the workplace, not just as a Black woman, but also as an immigrant. I was marginalized on my race when it comes to opportunities, promotion, and that are based on race. It's not because of what I felt, but it was because as a African descent, I felt I was overlooked for multiple positions, but I never let that stop me. My children also experience racism in the community. My son used to often come to me with the notion that, Mom, with the implication of racism by his teachers, by the school, and which includes sometimes name calling, those related jokes, to name a few. I remember he wanted to access his homework where a teacher at a major school here, a private school, changed his password to monkey. So it was just heartbreaking, culturally insensitive. And it was just, when I contacted the principal, it was, we set up kids' name to animals. So my question was, why not giving him a password as monkey? As lion. Why monkey? So all these.
Hey, how about I'd give him the one giraffe. He's got all that height. I give him giraffe.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
I'm glad you held them accountable on that. What was the response?
The response was, well, my son ended up having to go the extra mile, because when they told me that, well, maybe he needs to be tested. He was ADD, it was all that. And I did. And the doctor said to me, the pediatrician said to me at that time, Andrew does not have a problem. He's very smart student, except you have him in the wrong school. Because in that school, you can tell how many students were Black student or African American. So I ended up transferring him to another high school, to a public high school, which, because I canceled the contract, they wouldn't transfer his transcript.
But Marjorie, I think it's important for us to hear about what happened when you tried to hold the administration accountable on that password and situation there. Like, you approached them, said, look, my son is a lion. He's got the courage. He's why didn't you but instead we got this stereotyped, pejorative, obviously, from the outside looking in, looks like a race baiting slight. What kind of response did you get from the administration?
Well, they kind of disregard, where they will pull him in class and do drug tests. And as a matter of fact, the student tapped in. They will, at the school, you can wear khaki and white shirt, or black pants with white shirt. Oftentimes, the kids will ask, Andrew, are you wearing any clothes? And he would wear those black pants. I'm like, son, I bought this, and I need you to wear those uniform. They didn't do anything. So I ended up calling Dr. Bailey, who was working on this with me from NAACP. So when Dr. Bailey, they tried to give all different, and I still had them on tape, where the principal told me, well, Mr. Mann, this is all we can do. And they wouldn't offer an apology. And for me, it was, Andrew was not comfortable there. The kids will continue harassing him. So because I canceled the contract and I moved him, number one, they wouldn't transfer his transcript, which he had to take online school to graduate with his peer. That was so important to us. And number two, when they sent me to court and tried to mess up my credits. So, and the judge said, work on some kind of plan with me because I needed that transcript. They didn't do that. So I just let it go. I pay my portion and let it go. It was so sad. Until today, the memory stuck on my head. All the harassment that was against him. It was just terrible.
Marjorie, I just think it's important to have shared that because I don't know that if you don't have that lived experience as a parent, we cannot begin to understand the tenacity and the effort that one has to put in as a parent to push back on the system when it is providing racially biased, racist interactions with our children, and you call them out on it. I mean, when I'm in my school, you know, Raphael, when I'm pushing back on the administration, I walk in, frankly, as a white privileged male, and I'm talking about my son, you know, and I may be Hispanic, but I don't present in terms of my skin color. I'm just a redheaded freckle-faced guy, and I have a certain response from the administration. But what I hear time and time again, you walk in as a black woman, and you are discounted immediately as this angry black woman who is being unreasonable about her advocacy for her children. And so you have to bring in Dr. Bailey to back you up, the NAACP to back you up. I never had to do that. And I just think that that's part of a lived experience that I don't know that most of us have understood and realize. And so I just appreciate you sharing that with us.
Well, Brian, I don't want to bring this conversation to another level, but let me tell you, not only as a black woman, it's an immigrant woman of color with an accent, because that's how they see you.
Right.
That you really, all that effort, as a parent, you don't feel good if you cannot fix your children's problem.
Right.
Number one, it hurt. And when you go to the school, not only they see you as an angry black woman, but you are immigrant. It's almost that you don't fit, you don't deserve to be there. So you really have to keep in your mind that you're not gonna let them deter you from your mission, because it's about your son, your children. So you gotta keep focused. And I had to keep at them. I was going back and forth with Dr. Bailey. Well, they come up with this idea that it's because it's children, they cannot. I don't know what's the term. I don't remember what's the term. There's certain things they have to keep behind closed door. They just didn't want to refuse it. I even called Channel 7. I have them on tape, but I decided to let it go and heal. And I'm so glad I'm able to talk about it.
I appreciate you talking about it. I really appreciate it because it matters. It matters. Yes. And you talk about how they treated you and received you as a black woman with an accent who's an immigrant. It made me think of the movie that I recently watched where basically the women in the NASA program were treated and were actually told, evidently, that they should just be grateful that they have a job there. And I feel like when you were speaking, it in my heart, I felt like that administration was treating you as though, look, you're an immigrant. You should just be grateful that your son has a seat in our classroom.
That's correct. Yes. Yes.
And so thank you for sharing that with us.
And, you know, Brian, what they don't understand is, as immigrant, white America, white privilege, do not understand the dynamic and willingness of immigrant of color want to contribute to the betterment of America. When we come to the U.S., we work hard. We do what it takes. Who does the hard work? We educate ourselves to contribute. We don't just come and take. We participate.
That's for sure.
I just wanted to share that. We do have a small, strong immigrant community in Albuquerque. We have Haitian, Nigerian, Jamaican, Asian. And if you look, every single one of that community, if you go, we contribute. We work hard. We're in school. We don't take anything for granted. When it comes to school, I remember my daughter, even though she had a car, she will, because at UNM, they would have no parking. So Naomi will get up, I would drop her at the bus stop by Cottonwood and get to school. She didn't care because she had to do what it takes to get that degree, and that's what we feel. And I want people to understand that as an immigrant of color, I don't just come to take your job. I come and I'm not angry at all. I just want to emphasize that it's important to us to contribute, to be part of this. We want to pursue and go further on in life, just like the regular American. I just wanted to share that. I am not angry, but it's just important to know how important it is to immigrant of color. Sometimes we feel as if we're not included, but we are. As a Haitian woman, I am part of history. I know what Haiti had contributed to this country. I want people to recognize that.
I can't type quick enough to put up all these amazing things you're saying, and so I hope that many, many people will watch this. And you do bring an amazing history with you, and you are an amazing woman, and you inspire me, and I appreciate you being, as Velia says, so passionate about your story, and I'm grateful for that. And I think people are relating that are tuned in. You know, Denise says that she hears it all the time, just be grateful. And, you know, frankly, those of us that are privileged, you know, we fail to be grateful. I try to live a life of service and gratitude. That's one of my mottos. All my mentees will tell you that. My son will tell you that. But part of the reason I articulate it as frequently as I do is so that I don't forget how grateful I must be for the journey I've had. As difficult as it was as a child, and my story is one that is the story of many New Mexicans, but it pales in comparison to the inherent barriers that you and the next generation of Theodore Germains have to overcome in order to enjoy the success and have the impact that you've had. So I'm so grateful for you.
Yes. Can I add one thing? As a parent, black parent, immigrant of color, you having to do the talk every day with your children. The minute they leave the house, you have that talk. I know with my son, I may be annoying at times. Andrew, what time you coming home? If I don't hear from you, to remember, if you go outside, you meet a police officer. Whatever it takes for you to get home, you're gonna do it. Whatever he asks you, you're just gonna do it. So you constantly have to remind your family how important it is to even show respect or whatever it takes. And I want to say all my 3 kids are doing well. They're working for the city. We are contributing to this community. So I just wanted to say that.
No, you're contributing deeply, and I'm grateful for it. We are a better community because of the Theodore Germain family. And maybe tell us, you know, what does that conversation look like between you and Andrew and maybe your girls as well. But I think the young black man who has to go out in the community by himself, I mean, you witnessed firsthand, you know, you talk about the White Castle burger stand, and many of us that have families that originated in the East, we're very familiar with White Castle. And you observing black people, you know, if they spent any more than half an hour in that restaurant, they'd get beat up and they'd get thrown out. And, you know, so that's the lens you look through. How do you communicate to your son about what it takes to make sure that he comes home safely at night?
Well, because of the community and the school, he often think he's probably on the same level with his white friends. And I have to often remind him, no, if you're in a car with them, you have to remember the first person the police officer is going to go to is you. So you have to be an example. And if I know where you're going, if something happened, God forbid, I can know this is where my son is. So I make it a point to constantly texting him, where I know sometimes he try to break away by not responding. You know, all the kids do that. The girls are amazing. I don't have a problem. I didn't have a kid, until my son was born, because he was the last. I can't say people are perfect, but in my mind, my girls are considered perfect because they always listen. They do what it's required. I always tell them about my stories in school. So sometimes I'm having to take Andrew where I'm going. I always try to make up a story. Hey, come here with me, even if I don't have to. That I take him with me, so that's to prevent trouble. And I even ask him for all his friends' phone numbers if I need to get a hold of him. And I also pray and rely on God that everything is going to be okay with him.
Where do you find that strength? Where do you find that strength, Marjorie? 3 children you've raised, and I'm just telling you, folks, I have to get them on because when she says they're perfect, of course, every parent feels like their child is perfect, but I'm just telling you, I'm not in a position to say they're perfect, but I am in a position to say, and I think appropriately because I mentor so many young people and I interact with so many young people on a regular basis, while I can't say they're perfect because I don't spend that much time with them, I can tell you that they are exceptional. They are exceptional young people who, when mom and dad say, hey, let's take a picture in a parking lot, all 3 of them line up and they're ready to go and they're smiling. It's not like they've just been asked to put their hand in a working blender and it's going to be painful. They stand there and they got their smiles and I can feel the warmth while I'm taking that photo. Like, I'm not exaggerating here. Like, Marjorie's family is a family that I love bumping into, and it doesn't matter where it is. My day is going to be better when that happens. And so, where do you find that strength, Marjorie, to keep on pushing?
I find the strength from God. Some days it's very hard, but I just wipe the tears, and no matter what it takes, and I ask God for the strength, and I continue to keep moving. I try to focus on something new. I wanted to go back. Sometimes Naomi is a parent to me. Oftentimes she'll watch me, Mom, I think, do you have to take this picture? Mom, be calmer. Because one thing I wanted to say, as Haitian, our culture is, we're excited. We're always moving. We're always happy. Sometimes you might think, we're not. We're just eager. We're just excited to do whatever it takes. Let me tell you quickly a little story.
Please.
I remember going to a wedding. It was a Haitian man here who was married to a white lady. So we were at the wedding, and we were happy because we're always so happy to see each other in the community. We do have a small Haitian community. And finally, she came to me. She said, Marjorie, I don't appreciate you fighting in my wedding. I'm like, no, we're not fighting. We're just excited. That's who we are. We're just happy.
Passionate. Passionate.
So it's not, that's who we are. So my daughter often, as a young lady, Haitian American as well, because I still instill that value in her. Mom, calm down a little bit. Mom, people might think you've been rude. I'm like, no, Naomi, I'm not rude. This is who I am. So we sometimes argue with, Naomi, please let me be who I am. So it's just, as you can see, I'm talking to you, I get so excited. So that's the culture. That's who we are. I'm working to be a little calmer, but I can't change. That's how God.
Forget that. Just you do you. You do you, Marjorie Theodore Germain. You do you.
Brian, I wanted to also talk about voting for
this
election. It's voting. It is your right to vote. It is your chance to vote for a leader or representative who's gonna do the things that are important to you. It is so important for this election for everybody to vote. It is, don't think your vote do count. I wanted to specify that. Vote count. If you can, call a representative. Ask how you can support. I think this election means so much. So is filing the census because we need representation. So I just want to make sure I coming from this country where your voice doesn't always matter. It just pains me when I see people don't vote. So I think it's important. I beg you, I think it's important. Even if you don't care, if it's a choice between the two, if you don't like the current candidate, please, I encourage you to go to the website, learn about this person, and don't let that chance to vote and make a difference. It's very important.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you for that. You know, we got Dave Mulryan. He got national attention when he resurrected the "Vote or Die" moniker or slogan, and which originated back in I think 2014 on South Park. Which in that particular clip, there's an African American male in that clip, and but anyway, the clip "Vote or Die," and I couldn't agree more with you. Tell us about your work in that area. I know you're passionate about voter registration and immigrant when we do naturalization ceremonies and when we do that community outreach. You're always talking about voting and making sure people are registered.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was invited to one by Miss Linda Stover to one of the immigration ceremony. I think it's because oftentimes as immigrant, we look what happened in 2016, where we thought that our vote didn't count, it didn't matter, so we end up with someone we didn't want. So it is important to vote. I am. You can sign up for a voter registrar, and one good thing the city did this year, New Mexico, is you able to sign for same day registration and then vote. So while other states are still trying to hinder people to vote, and I think what we're working on is to be able to limit long lines, have longer hours to vote. I heard in the news, I don't recall exactly, I can't quote that, they were going to make election day a day off, a holiday.
A holiday. Mm-hmm.
So I think that will be so awesome because a lot, especially in the rural areas where they have to travel to vote. So I think it's important that those polls are open, longer hours, maybe on weekend. Because I did work doing election as a floor judge, and I think it's important to choose leaders. You know, I just think it's important. We all have to do our homework and do what it takes to vote this election.
I think that's right, and now I now will do better because I didn't remember that you were a floor judge at the election, but now I'm just going to have to call you Your Honor since you were the judge.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
So I posted up.
Yeah.
I posted up the link regarding the Honorable Maggie Toulouse Oliver's Secretary of State page there for voter registration information. So please register to vote. Do it in honor of this incredible immigrant story and advocacy and admonition that we all have to participate on this 4th of July weekend. It's the perfect time to get registered. If you haven't been registered, it's a perfect time for thinking about how you can engage with the political landscape of New Mexico. You can be a Black immigrant with an accent and 3 beautiful children and a husband, and not only just look at the political landscape, but you can become a part of it. And that is what Marjorie Theodore Germain has done. There's not an elected official around that doesn't know Marjorie Theodore Germain, because when she walks in a room, you're going to know it, because she brings that passion. And it's not anger, it's passion. It is that enthusiasm. And if we all live with a little more passion and enthusiasm, the world would be a better place. You are welcome. Tell me, we got just a couple minutes left here, and we're going to wrap it up. Marjorie Theodore Germain, thank you for sharing with us. I know that you had lots on your heart that you wanted to share, and I just want to give you an opportunity to close with whatever's on your heart, because I love your passion. I love your spirit. I love that I have the opportunity to be a friend of your family, and I'm always in your corner. Close with what's on your heart.
I just want to say, my advice to my children in my community, it's go for it. Go for your dream. I always tell my children, I want you to surpass what I have accomplished. A quote that I live by is, nothing is impossible. The word itself is, I am possible. I just want to say that. It was quoted by Audrey Hepburn, I believe. I just want to say thank you so much, Brian, for having me and to let me share my story with you. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for having me.
Are you kidding? It was my honor to be with you today, and thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for really the. Let's see here if I can adjust my little camera holder here. Look at that. So you're going to go back and watch this video and be like, Brian was tenacious. He didn't give up this morning.
Exactly.
Sometimes when the connectivity isn't working on Cafecito, I think there's been 2 times out of the last about 120 or 130 episodes, I gave up and just said, okay, we're canceling because I can't get the technology to work. But I could not do that with Marjorie Theodore Germain. I had to do today because it's July 3rd. It's the day when we begin a weekend of celebration and gratitude for us being part of this beautiful country of ours, the United States of America. And I thought it was so appropriate to bring an incredible Black immigrant woman with a beautiful accent to Cafecito con Colon. Folks, we've got great guests coming up this next week. I can't remember who they are, and I can't even look on my phone to see who they are because my phone is actually what's bringing you Cafecito con Colon today. But I know they're good ones. I'm telling you. And then we get to look forward to having Marjorie's children on. I'm going to have as many of them that will say yes to me, and we can get it scheduled. We can have we'll have one from Washington, D.C. We'll have the others from here. And if they'll say yes, I'm all in. I love your family, Marjorie Theodore Germain. Thank you for your candor. Thank you for your passion. And thank you for being a part of the fabric of our community. You are not just somebody who looks at New Mexico's political landscape. You are part of New Mexico's political landscape, and you make a difference every day. Thank you for being a great civil servant. Thank you for investing in our community, and thank you for doing you.
God bless America.
God bless America. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a great place to leave it on this Cafecito con Colon on July the 3rd. I love each and every one of you. Make sure that you reach out to people who are isolated, and make sure you let them know they're not alone. Give them the best from Marjorie Theodore Germain and Brian Colon and all the guests we've had on Cafecito con Colon. God bless you. God bless America. And join us again tomorrow morning. We will have another great episode of Cafecito. Alex Horton with us, joining us on Cafecito con Colon. So don't miss Alex. He is a dynamo young man with a passion for economic development in some of our deepest pockets of poverty in Albuquerque, because he's going to change the economic landscape for generations to come. Thank you very much for being with us. Have a beautiful Friday on this third day of July. Bye-bye now. I love you. Love you, Mom.
Love you too.
Bye-bye, Jermaine.